many of us, bar chords are a big deal. They're hard to play, they sound like crap, but that doesn't have to be that way. I can help you by giving you 5 easy tips to improve your bar chord sound. Alright, let's get started. Okay, tip number 1, thumbs up. When you're playing bar chords, it's very important to keep your thumb pointed towards the ceiling and somewhere in the middle of the back of the neck like this. Not too high, not too low, but somewhere in the middle. Also, you want to keep it right behind wherever your index finger is. You don't want it to be too far back, too far ahead, just right behind. Your thumb is doing most of the heavy lifting here. It's doing the job of pinching the guitar between your index and your thumb, and so you need it to be in the perfect position. Tip number 2, it's all in the wrist. Your wrist should be as straight as possible, but not too straight that it compromises the position of your index finger, which we'll talk about in a second. It's okay to have a little bit of a crook in your wrist, like I do here. Okay? If you get too straight, you may find that your index finger bends, and we don't want that. Okay? So experiment with the position and angle of your wrist to have a nice balance of comfort and playability. Tip number 3, prime real estate. Our finger has 2 knuckles and it has these fleshy spots in between. The knuckles are prime real estate. They're hard and they make it easy to press down strings with that part of your finger. So what we want to do is put this and this knuckle over the most number of strings. So if we can optimize the position of our index finger so that those knuckles are helping us press down as many strings as possible, that'll give us our best chance. For most of us, starting with this knuckle over the 2nd and 3rd strings will give you your best shot. This knuckle will help press down strings 3, 2, and 1, and maybe 4 a little bit, and this knuckle will help us press down strings 5 and 6. Tip number 4, the finger roll. We don't want to use the flat side of our finger because that is full of these fleshy soft spots. Alright? We want to use the side of our finger because that's where the finger is the hardest. And that hard surface on the side will give us our best chance of pressing the strings down firmly and cleanly. So when you contact the strings with your bar, roll your finger onto its side a little bit. Notice that I have these red lines on the side of my finger for the most part. They're not on the flat side as much. So roll your finger back, but keep in mind the next tip. Right, tip number 5, the fret is your friend. Be as close to that fret as you possibly can. Just like any other part of guitar playing, you always want to maintain a very close relationship with the fret. Don't be too far behind, don't be over, but just behind it. That's especially true with bar chords because bar chords are especially tough to play. Now, another thing to note with this is that you want to make sure that your finger is parallel to the fret. Okay, I just wanted to sum up by saying that bar chords are tough, but don't give up on them. Persistence is key with conquering the almighty bar chord. It's very helpful to learn a song that has a few bar chords in them, even if you don't feel comfortable playing bar chords yet. The more often you play them, the better you'll get at them, for 2 reasons. 1, you'll build the technique, which we talked about here, but also you'll build the strength, which is the hidden factor in this whole thing. Right now, your hands aren't strong enough yet to play bar chords, so that reduces your margin of error to a very slim amount. But the stronger your hand gets, and the better you get at the technique, the bar chords start to sound better. And that only happens with repetition. So learn a song. But no matter what, stick with it and you'll get it.